Hi, I'm Yannick from Vasha Photography, and in this video we'll show you a cable solid tethering system for your studio. So before I show you all our tethering system, I just wanted to let you know that links to all the gear that we'll be using in this video are listed in the description of this video. So what is tethering? Tethering basically is connecting your camera to a computer. It could be a laptop or a desktop. So basically you can see the photos as you photograph live on a computer screen, whether on your laptop screen or the big screen like we have here. Why would you do that? Well, first of all, the screen on your computer, the back screen on your camera, it's not that good. You know, it's small, the resolution is not that good, and the colors are not always true. So when you do tethering to a laptop or a computer, you can display the photos right away on a calibrated monitor in a much higher resolution. So you can ensure that the colors are good, that the sharpness is there, and overall the photo looks, better, like for any composition issues, that you may want to address. Also, when you photograph with a client, it's so much easier to select the photos that they want while looking at a big screen like this versus a tiny screen on your camera. Also, the clients are much more impressed when they see those photos on a big screen versus a small one. So this is also a factor of making the impression on your client that you are a professional photographer and everything is set up properly. Another reason why tethering is important is that as you photograph your client, you can take breaks and you can quickly review the photos with your client of what looks good, what doesn't look good. So the person that you are photographing can make a small adjustments in the pose or facial expressions to make those photos even better. And the last reason why we like tethering in our studio is that we select the photos right after the session while we are still in the studio with our client. This is much more time efficient versus downloading the photos to a computer, do the selection on our own, uploading them to the viewing gallery, send the link to the client's selecting which photos they want, maybe sometimes they have some additional questions, then sending back the email to us, etc., etc. So the process of selecting the photos on the big screen right after the session is so much more time efficient. Okay, so in order to tether from your camera to the computer or laptop, there are a couple of things that are critical or important that you cannot do without. First of all, obviously, is the camera that supports tethering. The second thing is the cable. We're using the Tethering Tools USB 3.0 cable that is connected to our Microsoft Surface Book here. The cable is very important. This is really the tool that will make the transfer of the files fast or slow. If your camera supports USB 3.0, we definitely recommend getting the 3.0 cable. And there is a difference between 2.0 USB cable and 3.0. So definitely go for the fastest possible cable that you can find. Now, beside the cable and the camera, you also need to have a computer to which you're going to tether your photos. On the computer, you will need to run either Capture One or Lightroom from Adobe. Those two softwares we've been using for tethering. We prefer usually Capture One for tethering. The tethering is a little bit faster with Capture One, but the Lightroom with the special add-ons that I'll show you in just a little bit is actually rock solid as well. Now, beside the camera, the cable, and the laptop, there are a few things that will make your tethering even better. The first thing is some mechanism to make the cable connected to your camera safer. And this is very important because as you start shooting, the cable will disconnect from the camera, or the USB port will be actually loose, and eventually when the USB port on the camera is broken, it's a very expensive repair for your camera. So what we use here is the add-on that came actually with the camera, with the Canon, and this allows you to put the cable around. The USB is connected here, and then you plug it to the camera, and then it goes around, and then it's a safe connection. So basically you can hang it by the cable and nothing happens to the connection between the camera and the cable. So that's the first tool, or the first gear that is very useful, that will make your tethering so much better and easier with fewer problems. We're using the Canon add-on here, but also Tether Tools using I think, I'm not sure what's the name of it, but it has a little like a loop on a string, and it basically attaches so that the cable is safe on it as well. We'll provide the link in the video to that, to the little add-on from Tether Tool as well. But you know, it's really up to you what you find to work the best for you. Now for the laptop, for tethering, we've been using the Microsoft Surface Book for a few years now. We find it, this laptop, to be rock solid in terms of performance and speed when we tether, especially when we render the photos on a big monitor that I'll tell you about in just a second. The big advantage of the Surface, one is because besides being the very powerful laptop, is that it only has a single connection to a dock station add-on that I'll show you also in just a second. But basically this allows you to have only one connection to your laptop. So you don't have to plug in multiple items to your laptop. Everything goes through that one cable. And then let me turn around this table. And this is the dock station for the Surface. The dock station has USB ports, so this is the cable that we connect from our camera to the dock station through a USB. It also has the monitor port and the power port. So basically we connect the monitors, the USB, directly to the dock station instead of the laptop. This is a much cleaner setup so that we reduce the number of cables that go directly to the laptop. Also, beside the tethering cable, one really important add-on that we found out while we were tethering with USB 3.0 is the Tether Tools booster. This is the powered booster. Basically, it's a short cable, but it also has a connection to an outlet, so you can add additional power to it. And it's a signal booster. When you send the files through USB 3.0, it's very important that the signal is strong. And a lot of especially the laptops, the USB ports don't have full power through the USB port. So they have a reduced electricity there. So that, you know, that sometimes when the cable is longer, you may experience some problems transferring the files from the camera to the computer. And I can see that Kenley is joining us here. He's interested in tethering as well. Okay, boy, you can now go to bed. If you go directly to your computer screen without the monitor, then it's all good. You don't have to have any additional tools. However, we connected here to a big monitor. This is a 43-inch monitor, 4K video monitor from LG. So this is a pretty big monitor for a computer. So when we used a simple HDMI cable video mini port to HDMI to connect to this laptop, we couldn't get the full resolution to be displayed on the monitor. Basically, it did not support a 4K resolution. So what we had to add to our setup is this very short cable. Is this one here? Is from mini DV video port to HDMI. It's a very short add-on from Microsoft, but basically it makes the video input or video transmission much better, and this way we can display the photos at full 4K resolution. So let me put this back here. We have so we have our USB port, USB cable, the booster, the Tether booster. We have the add-on from Microsoft for the HDMI, so mini video to HDMI. That's the add-on for the screen. We have the big 43-inch monitor from LG. And the last thing is the stand. The stand is important because this will be the place, one, that you will be seeing the photos with the client. And also this will be the screen that you'll be controlling when you shoot. So I think it's very important to have a cart that is on wheels. So this one is very easy to maneuver. This is stand is from, let me just, Luxor, and this is an AV cart. I'll also provide the link to this cart. What's cool about it, that because it's an AV cart, so it has power outlets here in the back, so that only one my main electricity cable goes to the wall, and the rest is connected here through the back. Okay, and let me just go back to perfect. And also, besides being on wheels, let me just put this back on. This one has a pull-out keyboard shelf, so that's very nice because I can have the keyboard a little bit lower, and it also have a drawer in the bottom here, and you can store additional items over there on the drawer, in the drawer. Okay, so let me quickly show you when you want to set up a new session in both Lightroom or in Capture One when you want to start tethering. So the first thing you have to do in Capture, if you're using Capture One, you're going to let me just make sure that here it is. You click on New Session, and you can specify whatever the name you want. Basically for Capture. Capture One is smart enough that when you plug in the camera, it actually knows that you'll be tethering, and it creates automatically 3 folders for you: Capture, Selects, and Output. The trash folder is when you start to delete folders. When you start tethering, all the photos go to your Capture folder. Once you select photos that you want to keep, I usually move them to the Select folder. And the Output location is when you export the photos. Those will be exported to the Output location. And the trash, as I mentioned, is just for those photos that are deleted. So that's Capture One. Let me show you how it will be for Lightroom. Okay, so when we want to start tethering in Lightroom, going to File, Tether Capture, and Start Tethered Capture. You can specify what's your session name here, where you want to select your photos. So I'm going to just say tethering, and this will be in my tethered folder, and in this test tether folder, this will be where the photos will be saved. And let's just press OK. Make sure that the camera is not in sleep. Okay, I just walk up the camera. So now you will see that right away, you will see the shutter speed, the f-stop, ISO, white balance, and any developed settings if you want to apply when you start shooting in tethered mode. Okay, so now we have Lightroom basically set up for shooting tethering. So let's just do a quick test shot. So I'm just going to take a photo of Sasha here. And you can say 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So about 4 seconds that it takes to transfer the file from the camera to Lightroom. Let's take one more. I'm going to take like maybe 2-3 photos and see how fast it goes. So 1, 2, and 3. So you can see those photos are transferring at a pretty decent speed. It's not instant, but because those files are 22 megapixels on this camera, or maybe even more, but they transfer pretty nicely. So this is basically what tethering is all about. The main thing is that the transferring is solid, so you don't get problems the cameras being disconnected or losing the signal, etc. In Lightroom, what we found was extremely important is that we have the tether booster connected to our cable. Without the tether booster, the signal, because of USB 3.0, was lost very often. So this was a very common issue with Lightroom. I'm not sure whether the Lightroom Classic, the latest version, still has the problem, but the previous version, the Lightroom CC, was basically a pretty serious problem. That's why we got the tether booster. Let's show you how we can do the tethering in Capture One. So I'm going to quit Lightroom. Okay, now we have Capture One open. We have the current session here with Sasha. So I'm going to take a few photos of Sasha modeling for us, and this will show you how fast the files are being transferred from the camera to Capture One. Okay, here is first one, and it's there. So it's a little bit, I think it's a little bit faster. It's not a huge difference now. Let me do like 2-3 shots. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And basically that's how fast the tethering happens in Capture One. Now the good thing is when you do tethering through Capture One, you can quickly with the loop tool, you can look up the sharpness in the eye. So you just want to make sure that if you want to make sure that everything is in focus, so you can quickly look it up. And what is also cool, whether you're doing with Lightroom or Capture One, is that you can do some development on the fly. So basically, if I want, for example, to bring some blues to the shadows, I'm going to do a little bit less of it. A little bit even less, maybe a little bit darker. Okay, so I have some blues in the shadows, and maybe for the highlights I want a little bit of a yellowish orange. I'm going to do a little bit less. Maybe like that. And I'm going to open a little bit of the shadows and bring the highlights down a little bit to control it. And now if I continue shooting with these settings, every single photo from now on will have these already development adjustments. So you can make the first test shot to make it look like how you want it, and then all consecutive photographs will already have this feel. So this is very valuable way of shooting in the studio versus just shooting with the camera. It really takes your the session and also the way you shoot to the next level. I think it's a great way, one, to grow, and also to work with your client to get better photos. So again, so to recap about our setup, let me just show you everything again, what we have here. So the camera that supports tethering, good quality tethering cable. In our case, we're using the Tethering Tools USB 3.0 cable. I believe this is the 15 feet cable. The tether booster from Tethering Tools as well. This is the cable that connects to the USB and then all to the computer then. A good computer, fast enough that it supports good video rendition. In our case, this is a Microsoft Surface Book. Then if you use Microsoft Surface Book, the station here to connect the USB and the dock station that you can use to connect your monitor and a USB here is very useful, and it's mandatory for big monitors. The mini video ports to HDMI. And then if you want to really have a nice presentation, a big monitor like this one, this monitor from LG is absolutely fantastic. We love it. The colors are super nice, the sharpness is there. And in our case, because we are by the window, it's the anti-glare finish on this monitor helps a lot to reduce any glare in the monitor. So that's the big monitor. And the last thing is the card, the AV card from Luxor. So basically that's really all you need to do tethering. You can go minimum, just camera, cable, laptop, or if you want a more reliable system, like we have here the rock solid setup for our studio, you can just use the tools that we just described. So if you have any questions or recommendations, even how to make this tethering setup even better, we are all ears. We're always happy to hear any feedback. If you found this video valuable, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Press the subscribe button so that you know when we publish new videos. And we'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.